Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Victoria Real Estate, the Greater Victoria Real Estate Show. With I'm Andrew Plank with the Vibe Collective and Royal LePage, and with us today we have
Jane Johnston from the Bar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, and we are also with
Jen Lowe, mortgage broker with Dominion Lending Center Modern Mortgage Group. Nice to see
and
you
if
guys.
I didn't already say, hi, nice to see you guys too. If I didn't already say, it is August 7th, 2025, and today we're going to just be reviewing the monthly statistics from July. So we're just going to be looking slightly into the past and seeing what happened and thinking about what that might mean for our future, real estate future. So without further ado, let's get into it. Jane, would you mind actually just running the background slides? You good with that?
Sure, I will do that
She
for
wanted
you, my dog.
she normally hosts these, and we're kind of trying to switch it up a bit, and she's having a hard time giving up control. So let's give her a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So Jen's going to give us an update on what's been going on in mortgage world before we get into the stats. So Jen, take it away.
Yeah, well, so fixed interest rates are volatile right now, and they have been increasing. This is driven by global bond market shifts and uncertainty around inflation. So that's not the greatest news. So my recommendation most definitely is to get rate holds in place. We can secure rates for up to 120 days. So if you're looking to get in the market, you definitely want to get that rate hold in place, as then you know your worst case scenario.
It can always get better, but if you're locked in, it can't get worse.
Yeah, some people get concerned. They don't want to get that rate hold because they think, well, then they're locked into that rate. And no, that's not the case. Most definitely, we're always looking to get your rate as low as we possibly can.
Okay. And things are going in the wrong direction right now for
fixed rates.
For fixed rates. Yeah. Okay.
Variable rates is a bit of a waiting game. We'll just wait and see how the inflation numbers and that come out. The next Bank of Canada rate discussion is September 17th, I believe. So we'll just have to see what happens. The current outlook is that they're going to be in a holding pattern until late fall, at least.
Okay, because as you mentioned, there are some concerns about inflation. And inflation is not good for lowered rates.
That's right.
Okay, thank you, Jen.
Yeah,
you're welcome. So let's talk about what happened in the last week here. So last week versus the week before, we had I have to put on my glasses here. New glasses, everyone.
New glasses.
They look great.
Thank you. So 218 properties went unconditional in the last 7 days versus 258 the week before. Keep in mind, we did have a long weekend, so that does impact things last week. So 120 properties went pending versus 142 the week before. 122 price decreases versus 142 the week before. And 112 properties expired. Again, that straddling the beginning of the month is not surprising. They tend to happen more often then versus 47 the week before. Any comments on this, guys? Jane?
Yeah, so the pendings would be lower because we had the long weekend. And so people will, the pending relates to the day that you remove the subject. So they would have not been removing subjects over the 3-day long weekend. They would
generally wait. You're not going to hear from the bank about financing on a holiday Monday,
Sunday, or Monday. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. I had closing on Friday and a closing on Tuesday, and both with newer realtors. And we discussed after, like, this is not a good time. Next time, let's just do it like 2 days before or 2 days after, because we really want to make sure the bank are paying attention, the lawyers are paying attention, and that there's not a lot of, like, there's distraction around these times. So
I try not to have closings on Fridays if I can help it. And especially a long weekend, you just know that people are going to be thinking about the long weekend or already on holidays, and it just causes more difficulty. Jen, you were going to say something?
Yes. No, that's so true. I mean, in our mind, we're just geared to, it's like the end of the month, beginning of the month, or the 15th. But if at all possible, your lawyer, everyone would be so happy if you had a closing date on, let's say, the 20th of the month. It's just not nearly as busy.
It's also easier to book movers because they're all busy at the end of the month, and it's really hard to, if you're put into any delays, you could get bumped from your moving because they can't accommodate the change. So yeah, I mean, but not everybody has that luxury. They're a
No, yeah,
renter
of course.
moving into a new home. They need to be out at the end of the month, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but you can arrange for the move-in a few days later so that you have time for the tenant to be cleaned up and out. It's too stressful, especially on a Friday of a long weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one. The list to sale ratio this week was 55.05%, and that's compared to 55.04 last week. So
It's like
we're right on track.
parallel. Yeah, they're just exactly the same. Okay.
Weird. Okay, and net unconditional sales. So because we did the stats and Monday was a holiday, we only had 47 for the month of August so far. That's compared to 545 for last August last year. And we are at 55
53.
53 new listings. That's compared to 1,043 for August of 2024. And total active listings, we are up over last year at 3,582 compared to just under 3,200 last year. So we're up 10% so far.
But what's interesting is earlier, towards the end of the spring, I was predicting we might get up to 4,000 inventory active listings because we were getting, more listings coming on that we're selling, and the inventory was going up. But even just last week, I think we had around 3,700 listings on the market. So we've had some expired. It looks like they haven't come back on market. Maybe people are taking a break over August.
I'm just looking right now. Yeah. So one thing is that there's seasonality that happens. So we are, like, if you look at the humps in the market, our most active onboarding of listings happens in May, and we're going to see that in the stats that come. So it's not going to be growing throughout the year. So what Andrew's saying, though, is that the sales are on par with the new active listings that came on, and we're seeing activity. So that's good. I mean, I feel that we're going to have a good end to the year. Actually, I feel like we've got a bit of pent up demand happening and people wanting to get in. So I think it's going to be good.
We don't actually read out or share the monthly stats that comes out from the real estate board. We collect some of these things and share them with you in terms of the stats, but the actual written news release was referring to, more multiple offers lately, and anecdotally, and what we've been hearing is that there's some good activity out there. So even though we're in the quote heat of summer, people are still buying and selling for sure.
I think it has to do with what the listing price is. Like, if the seller is reasonable on the listing price, then we're going to see activity on the buying end, because if people are still holding out for 2022 prices, they're out to lunch.
They are out to lunch and probably not eating.
Okay, so let's look at the stats.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is always a hard one because really we're just talking about a shape of a graph here. And again, we talk about this one repeatedly. And the seasonality does come into play here, and the annual cycle as well. So you can see that in July 2023, 2 years ago, the market was still moving in an upwards swing from July, August, September, and it kind of peaked in October 2023 and then started to come down into the winter time. Ramped up again for the spring in 2024 to a peak around June. and then dropped a little bit through till August with a slight bump again in the fall of 2024. Dropping down again in the winter as it usually does. And again with this year we've seen that rise again. And if you're looking at like a tide table or something, you could see that we're a little bit of a higher tide than we had the last couple of years in terms of active listings. We've come up higher in inventory, and we reached a peak in June again. So we always reach this. We seem to reach this peak sometimes earlier, sometimes later, June, July, August. And it looks like we're now on the downside of this cycle as we go back into a lower inventory period towards December.
So it's interesting. I was speaking to a realtor the other day who works primarily in Oak Bay, and they were saying they are not going to be listing any properties in August because everyone's away. And I was like, this is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, like if we aren't expecting listings, or if we're predicting that there's no activity, there's no activity. But people are taking the summer off. Yeah.
I think we need to leave room for that, though. I don't think it's healthy I think that if someone needs to sell, we need to have and advise them to have their property up on market. And there's the reality that people do take vacations and people are away. And it's kind of like saying, shops are closed on the weekend. So, if there's nobody there to do business, you don't want to be there. You want to try to track so you're there when the business is happening. At the same time, we do ourselves a disservice by saying, well, let's work this long weekend. Let's push this. Let's make this happen. Let's make offers for review on a Friday night. We tend to try to force things into times that don't actually work for everyone. And if we can, let's try to make it work for everyone more broadly. Right. Yeah.
Well, we learned that during COVID, when we'd list something and then we review offers on Sunday, we'd be like, why did we do this to ourselves? So commercial realtors are really good at controlling this. They tend to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And residential realtors are more responsive and working more on an emotional level. So, but I do find now, like with some of my sales, the offers are out there in terms of the time to respond is longer, which is good. So it means there's still urgency, but we have time to actually think.
You're not given just 2 hours to reach your clients, have them consider an offer, and to give a response before the offer expires. So that's a little bit more respectful, and it's also just a reflection of current market conditions where people know that there's more time, and they know that maybe putting pressure on a seller is counterproductive. But
I just want to say, when that happens, really you're doing a disservice to yourself as well, because if you give somebody an offer and you have a 3-hour timeline, just remember you're probably going to have a 3-hour timeline in response, because the seller is going to expect you to respond in the same timely manner that you want.
I think at this point it's probably an important thing to say, we're talking about what's convenient for us as realtors and this and that, and what we also are always trying to consider what's best for our clients. And I think when we're talking about offer review times and those kind of things, if it's in our client's best interest to do it on a Sunday, or that's when they're available, that's when it happens. But if all things being equal, it could be a Sunday or a Monday, let's put it to the Monday and stop doing things that make us bend over backwards. Everybody bend over backwards to force something into something that didn't really have to happen that way.
Yeah.
And same for those negotiation times.
Yeah. When I got into real estate, I started doing open houses on things like Mother's Day weekend and Father's Day, because I was like, okay, well, I'm available all the time. And then I realized this is just a waste of time. So yeah, you can't force it sometimes.
It's a recipe for burnout is what it is. And then you're not, when you're available to everybody, you're not really available to anybody.
Right. I've gotten smarter as I've gotten older.
Older and wiser.
Do you want me to do this graph?
Yes, please.
All right. So I like this
This is
graph.
your favorite one, isn't it, Andrew?
It's my favorite. I think it shows the ebb and flow of of listings. So as Andrew was saying, the bars are reflecting the total MLS listings, and then the line is reflecting the sales. And to be honest, like, people watching, they maybe are not as bored with this as we are, because we see it all the time. So just remember that to a lot of people, this is new information, but what you want to see is line is in relation to the bar. And we can see the sales have been fairly active this year, relatively to 2023. It looks like we've been having a good year, and we're on par with where we were last year. In fact, we had a better June than where we did last year. So in terms of the list to sale ratio, we're looking very healthy here, with peaks in May in both years, and looking like we're going to have a little bit of a bump in September. So I expect more listings to come on in September, and that has to do with the crowd around the colleges and universities, and also people wanting to get in before Christmas. I also think that people make decisions after they spend time together. So families have spent time together in the summer, and they're like, you know what, honey, it's time to move. So that's what prompts everything. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. People need time to crystallize their thinking.
Yeah. And also the time, like, if you want to list next year, the time actually to talk to your realtor is now, because your realtor will help you get ready. And also now is a good time to take photos and things like that while the weather is looking good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, before the show here, you guys were, I won't mention where that property is, but you were talking about a property that Jane showed, that Jen is aware of, that obviously the folks did not do what they needed to do to prepare the homes, to the point that there's a strip of sod across the front lawn that just looks really ugly. And if someone had actually taken some extra time to prepare or talk to the realtor in advance, maybe they would have said, don't bother with the sod. That just makes it look even worse.
One strip.
The one strip of sod just highlights the problem.
Lack of effort. Yeah.
And lack of effort and lack of care, which, you want to buy a home from someone who cares about their home. So, as realtors, we can do this. I think I have to go and open the door for someone. So I'll be right back. You guys continue on, please.
Okay. All right. So when we're looking at this chart, what we're looking at is the list to sale ratio. So we have total number of listings and the sales, and this creates this graph here, which is an absorption rate. So it shows that we're just above 20%, which is around 5 months inventory. So we are in a balanced semi-sellers market. I would say more balanced than sellers. What are you finding, Jen, for your clients? Are they paying more?
Are they like paying more as opposed to like the asking price of the property?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a little bit more leniency with like getting some of those subject to sale conditions. There's been a few that have collapsed because that subject to sale hasn't proceeded in the timeline. So yeah, I mean, for me, June and July were crazy busy, but it's definitely slowed down.
Is it for refinancing that it was crazy busy?
Yes, lots of refinances. I mean, I had a few purchases, of course, as well, but a lot of refinances. When clients' mortgage is up for renewal, doing a refinance to pay out some debts and make it more affordable.
Yeah, interesting.
Cleaning up that cash flow. Yeah. Yeah. Question for you. I just dealt with this, and it occurs to me that I should double check on this. You know how we've been in this business for a long time, Jane and I, and so have you, Jen. And I sometimes take things for granted or just forget things I knew in the past. So we did something the other day, and I didn't really worry about it. I knew it would be fine, but maybe you can tell me where it might not be fine, or we really should be careful about this. I had a property with an accepted offer, and the buyer wanted to just change the closing date a couple days sooner. We already had removed our conditions. We were unconditional. The closing doesn't happen for a month. Does that in some way or in any way put at risk the financing approval? And if so, how and what are the risks and so forth?
It shouldn't, no. I mean, if you're a month out, a couple of days won't make a difference. If you're a week out, like I've got one right now that we've got, like the subject removal is today and it closes August 18th. So
Mhm.
if they decided then, okay, we're going to change the closing date to August 12th, that's not going to work.
Right. Right.
What can affect it though is if you do a price change, right? So more than
Yes.
$10,000, then it has to go
Yep.
Any
back.
price change, because that's been a big stressor for realtors that don't know. So if you're doing a price reduction at the same time as you're removing conditions, I get the strategy around that. That's huge to get that price reduction. But at the same token, if it's a significant price reduction and if it's because the roof leaks, that's going to be a problem.
So what is
Okay.
considered significant?
Like I'd say around 10,000 and up.
Okay.
Interesting. So
It is
even though the buyer needs less money now to purchase, and it's put them in arguably a better financial position, the lender might see that as a flag and then look more closely at the
property.
file. Is that okay?
Yes, they
'Cause
want
they'll
to know
see
the
that-
reason for the
Yeah.
price reduction.
Which is one
Yeah.
thing we've always said is don't, and this is maybe why lenders are alive to this, but you don't ever want to put into a price reduction amendment, buyer and seller agree to reduce the price by $20,000 due to mold found in the attic. Like you don't
Yes.
put that in
Yeah.
the reason in. You just say
Exactly.
buyers and sellers agree to reduce the price by $20,000.
Yeah.
And then it still creates a flag, but it doesn't actually highlight the flag. Double underscore it.
Interestingly, I had that happen where the buyer reduced the price and the seller was upset because the buyer didn't identify what the deficiency was. And I'm like, there's a reason why this is the way it is. And yeah, we basically don't want to raise a red flag. So, but in this case, it didn't matter anyway, because it was a senior and they were buying with cash, but still. So they were downsizing. So it was easy. Anyway, it happens. Okay, you ready to go back?
Yes.
Go ahead, darling.
Okay, so what we've got here is our value over time of single family homes. This is going to be the averages, average home price. And, you can see back in July 2023, we were higher than we are today. We were up around almost 1.4. It's 1.375 or so for an average home price. Today, we are under 1.3. So we've definitely come down off of a peak. We did reach a bit of a peak in the spring, and we tend to see this when there's a bit of enthusiasm and everybody's kind of all in the market at once. It puts more pressure on prices, but it looks like that was a bit of a
anomaly.
Anomaly. It wasn't enough to sustain, so it's come back down off that peak.
And this is showing when the properties are completing. So this is when the activity was in February. So just looking, I'm just going to take us back to here. So the list to sale ratio in February, it's interesting, eh? But the number of sales, so the completions, they follow the pending. Anyway.
So now you're basing that on an average of saying like, well, let's say every couple months or 3 months, why do you say February for that? Because that's February's
for April,
many months ago now. Oh, for the
I'm
April
just saying
peak.
February.
Okay.
For the April peak, yeah, that the sales.
Saying on
I always
average,
think February's a good month.
I see. On average, you're saying there were 2 months. The February was a bit of a spike
Bumper
in sales, but this is showing the prices coming up as they were registered as sold. Okay, and that's based on, and because some properties close a month later, some 5 months later, not usually. and you're averaging it out. I'm just explaining to everyone, you're averaging it out to say on average, it's about 2 months.
Yeah, when people ask me how long does it take for a property to close, and maybe Jen can speak to this, but it's usually 6 to 8 weeks, right? When you say?
Mhm. Yeah, up to a month and a half. I mean, potentially up to 3 months, but not usually. It's usually, yeah, month and a half.
Which is one reason why the whole rental thing of 3 months notice is hard.
It made it hard. That's made it hard. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
A lot of people need to move in sooner.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
let's move on.
Okay, condos have kind of done okay. We've been like, if you look at this line over time, we also had a bump in the market in February. So I'm assuming December was good. It was pretty good. I found, I felt like the end of last year was very strong and it carried into the beginning of this year. And then it kind of died down after January. But if we're looking at prices, we can see we've had a bit of a deflation over time from 650 to 600. We're just below that. And this is an average in all areas. So it really is dependent on where you are. There are a lot of condos all over the city. But I do feel that the condo market feels a bit stronger than it did a few months
Definitely.
ago. Okay. Andrew?
Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, I thought I had a dog come into the room.
Oh, did you?
Your dog wandered in, and I'm like,
That's funny.
that was so weird. Okay. Okay, moving on. Let's just put that behind us.
Oh, here comes another one.
Where are they coming from? No, because you have behind you, it doesn't really show the same, but I do have a door behind me that's sort of the same kind of configuration. And
Similar
somehow my
color,
brain just
hutch
did
there.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, townhouses, really steady, really steady. Yeah, thank you, Jane. Do that again, please. Was that Zoolander? What is that? That's from.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been steady, and we've been in and out within kind of like the range between 800 and 850,000 average price for a few years now, with just one kind of little outlier to that in the winter of 2023. So that's row townhouses, and I think at some point we're going to break out of that. I think townhouses are always kind of a middle, in the middle area where I think as we see an aging population start to age out of their homes, we're going to find townhouses, I think, are going to be the next big, not big, but I think they're going to bump in value.
I think it depends on the configuration of the townhouse. So, for instance, I just noticed I didn't just notice.
You're right.
But the configuration of multi-level townhomes, I think, for aging population won't work. But if we go to what is called stacked townhouses, like they have on Maltwood, where you have single level and you have all the benefits of a townhome, but more flat configuration, that will do well.
Right.
And then
there's definitely some like 3-level townhouses in Happy Valley, for example, which are not going to at all appeal to anyone who's aging. But I'm definitely thinking more of a traditional townhouse, maybe 1.5, 2 levels, but generally 1 level. Or, I've seen some with elevators.
Yeah, what's interesting is in Sydney, they have a lot of these multi-level townhomes. I have a listing, and you get people looking and you're thinking, okay, the ideal demographic for that is maybe 40 and 50-year-olds or people with children, but it's the people with money who want to buy them and who want to live in that area. So it's design-wise, I think there's an opportunity there for an active person if they don't mind stairs. Great.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Place to live.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you know somebody who's buying or selling or thinking something's gone on with their life and they need some discussion, we're here to help you. So please share this to anybody who you think might be. So, alrighty. Andrew, how do people reach you?
Yeah, give me a call. I'm here, 250-360-6106. Send me a text, send me an email, info@andrewplank.com. And happy to chat and share with you anything that we can and help you out with whatever your real estate problems are.
Okay, Jen.
I am at 250-217-4925, and email is jen@jenlowe.ca, and my website is jenlowe.ca. And happy to help you with your rate holds.
Awesome. And I'm Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group. You can reach me at 250-744-0775. Best email is actually briarhillgroup@gmail.com. And you can visit me and my team at briarhillgroup.com or follow me on Instagram, realtyteacher_remax_Victoria. Andrew, off, buddy.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. You were cutting out a little bit there, but yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Really good to see you all. Appreciate you. Tune in every Thursday, 9:30 a.m. We will see you next week. And I think I've got to come up with a topic for next week. So we'll announce it soon. Awesome, guys.
All right.
We'll see you all next
See ya.
week. Bye.
Take care.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.